The biggest mistake that people make in crypto isn't buying the wrong coin. It's leaving during the bear market. And my biggest crypto loss ever probably cost me hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the crazy part is, it wasn't because I bought the wrong coin, but it's because I quit. In 2018, when crypto crashed, I walked away because I thought that the whole thing was a scam. Yes, I thought crypto was a scam. Meanwhile, the people that understood market cycles stayed because they accumulated and they accumulated Bitcoin while everybody else walked away, like me. And the reason I'm making this video right now in 2026 is because when you look at a chart, 2026 is exactly the same as what we were back in 2018, which means we have entered one of the biggest accumulation windows of this entire cycle. And I'm going to show you the why and the how and all the things. So let's dive into it. As I share my story, probably a lot of you right now may be feeling the same thing that I felt back in 2018. So my story started back in May, approximately, of 2017 when I heard about Bitcoin. And I was like, okay, what is this? Bitcoin and this digital money. And I did what the majority of people do. I went on YouTube Academy, and back then it was a little different to what it is now. But still you have to use discernment and be so careful who you listen to. But I just went on there and I started learning, and I got really excited and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this internet money, and this is going to change the world, and this is so exciting." So I'm going to get in, and then all of a sudden everything's going up and I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're going to be rich. We're going to be retired in our 20s, and this is going to be amazing, and oh my god, everybody get into crypto." And I was right there with all the euphoria, buying, 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 buying. And then what happened? 2018 happened and Bitcoin crashed. And it came down, Bitcoin came down 46%, 47%, quite aggressively. I mean, here I'm on a 2-day chart. It happened very aggressively. And I did get into some really bad coins and into bad, naughty things that I didn't understand back then. Not because I was naughty, but because I didn't know what was going on. And people were also not behaving well in crypto, as they still don't now. You have to be so careful. But anyway, I very quickly, in January of 2018, very quickly was like, crypto is a scam and I'm out. I hate this space. I'm so sad that I lost so much money. Family members, friends lost so much money. And I just quit. And that's where I made the biggest mistake that majority of people do. They walk away and sell low, sell at a loss, thinking it's over. They allow the news, the media, their cousins, brothers, dogs, cats, people around them to tell them, I told you so. That thing's a scam. Bitcoin's going to zero. And for a long time, it felt really real because, if we look from Bitcoin being at 21 approximately $1,000, $20,000, it came all the way down and all the way down. And by the end of 2018, Bitcoin was at about $3,000. So, of course, at that point, you'd think it's crashed, it's died. Not that I even continued to pay attention to it after January 2018. I was just like, I'm out. Like, this thing sucks. Right? And it was crazy to me too, because people that I followed on YouTube already in January as well were already like, crypto's going up, Bitcoin's going up, this is amazing. And then they're here telling me that it's a scam, or their complete YouTube channels just like disappeared. And I was like, I messed up, and the whole thing is just ugly. So, if you're even actually here right now and you feel some of these things, but you're still here and coming on here and listening to a video like mine, congratulations, because you're already one step ahead of me. I instead fully quit, whereas you're persisting. And I'm so glad that you're here because my goal is to teach you and show you all of my mistakes so that you won't repeat them and you can learn from my mistakes, learn from my lessons so that you can speed up your success process in this incredible space, which I absolutely love and adore now. And actually, now I know and understand that it is, I was about to say it's the future, but really it's already the present. It's happening right in front of us in 2026. And I'm actually so excited about this space. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons, but I choose to focus on the pros and how we can use this as an incredible opportunity, probably going to be the biggest financial opportunity of our lifetimes. And we get to be right amongst in it and at perfect timing. So let me show you why. When I was then reintroduced to cryptocurrencies towards the end of 2019, start of 2020, I was still quite skeptical, but I actually found somebody or a group of people that actually had success in this space, had actually been there for a long period of time, had the results that I wanted to have. And they showed me things that made me understand things that I didn't understand before. Before, I was just very attached to, wow, this is an opportunity to make heaps of money. But then I was actually introduced to, wow, like how is actually introduced to how money works and why Bitcoin is the future, why blockchain is the future of all of our financial space as we know it. And it's going to absolutely revolutionize all of what we know currently as our traditional finance. What I then experienced in 2020 was this. Okay. Don't mind all my scribbles and my drawings. That's when I teach students, so all these other things, which we'll get to here. But what I experienced in 2020 was the most incredible bull run that made my previous one look absolutely insignificant. We saw crypto go from, let's go to the end of 2019, about November 2019, all the way. Yes, we had crashes along the way. We all remember 2020. But I saw Bitcoin then go all the way up and do crazy percentages. And that came along with lots of other cryptos doing crazy percentages. And like I said, this time I actually had mentorship. I actually understood what was going on. And from that moment onwards, I learned that crypto, or I'm going to talk specifically about Bitcoin, works in cycles. And it is the cycles, all of the economy works in cycles. And if you understand the cycles and if you can work through the cycles and with the cycles, is when you can actually make this thing work for you. If instead you simply go off your emotions, if you simply go off the whole, wow, I'm excited, I'm excited, I'm excited, and then, oh my gosh, it's crashing, it's crashing, it's crashing, you're going to end up being like 95% of people in this space, like Corinne in 2018, who thought it was a scam. So before I get into the cycles, I just want to explain to you why Corinne stepping away from crypto in January of 2018 through until the end of 2019, start of 2020 was my biggest loss. And why? No financial advice, but as your friend, I would tell you that stepping away from this space right now is probably going to end up being one of your greatest financial losses in your lifetime. The reason why is that I learned that during this period, even though crypto was coming down, this was the time where I shouldn't have stepped away, but I should have locked in and I should have learned and I should have studied more and I should have understood how investing works, how trading works. Because yes, trading actually allows you to profit even when the crypto markets are coming down. Stay tuned for that video, or maybe that video is already out now when you're watching this, but you can actually make plenty of profit even when the crypto market is coming down. But the thing is that I should have stayed and I should have learned to properly. I should have sought out the right mentorship so that I could take advantage of this time, so that then when especially the start of 2019 happened, And then when we experienced also the crash in 2020, we all know what happened in 2020, pandemic. So when that happened, these were the times where if I had prepared, if I had known what I was doing and I had a plan, I could have actually made the most out of these most incredible opportunities rather than having to be learning about the space all over again while the markets were had the most incredible opportunities there and ready for me and for us. Okay. So now let me talk to you about the cycles. Let me zoom out so that then we can look at where is it that we are in 2026 and is the same about to happen? One thing that I will say is that I've learned that cycles will repeat over and over and over again until proven otherwise. Nothing in this space is 100% guaranteed. Nothing ever is in life. But all that we can do is base our information of what's happened in the past and use that to see, hey, how can I position myself in the best way possible for what is to come? Of course, that comes with so many other things. Risk management, risk tolerance are some of the biggest things, but we'll talk about them in the near future. Okay, so you can see a lot of scribbles on this chart. We're actually looking at a BLX. It's called the BLX chart. It's essentially just Bitcoin. This chart was actually terminated as of September of 2025, which really blows because, as you can see, I've marked this up for quite some time. So I don't have the most up to date price on there as we would with like a chart like this. Okay. So, but bear with me and we're just focusing on cycles right now and looking at macro regardless. So, if you don't know this, Bitcoin typically occurs in approximately 4-year cycles. There's something called the Bitcoin halving, which in simple words is the new Bitcoin that is being produced and put into circulation every single day because we don't already have all of the Bitcoin available to us yet, okay? There's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins, but we don't have all of them out there and available for us to use, right? It's being still created little bits every day. And what happens is that at approximately every 4 years, how much of that new supply is being put out is halved. And that's a really important event because it creates somewhat of a supply shock, right? This is like simple economics 101, supply demand. So if the new Bitcoin is being reduced, halved, and the demand, I mean, we just see Bitcoin continue to be adopted and there's more and more demand of it, right? So the demand slowly overall is increasing, even though it has its ebbs and flows, but overall it's increasing. And the supply is becoming more and more limited, and more people are buying Bitcoin and they're holding Bitcoin. That starts to create a supply shock, which makes price go up, right? Pretty simple stuff. So without going into detail and understanding, but exactly what is the Bitcoin halving and so on and so forth, that's the simple explanation. And they're marked here on this chart with these orange dotted lines, okay? So, what we typically see with Bitcoin is that every time, and like, look, we can go all the way back here. And this is why I drew it on this chart because it's so far back. Okay. When we had the Bitcoin halving, what tends to happen after that? Oh my God, Bitcoin was $10 here. Wow. That's so wild to me. It just blows my mind every time. People are gonna be saying that one day when they're like, "Bitcoin was $100,000? What?" Anyways, so every time that we have a Bitcoin halving, typically that starts this supply shock. So over time, demand increases because we have a supply shock. There's already a certain amount of demand, so price increases. And then as people start to see price increase, what happens? Psychology kicks in, and people are like, oh, this is going up, so I'm going to buy some. And so the price starts to go up, it pushes up. What typically happens then is that we have a blow off top. Price is crazy. There's crazy euphoria. People are so excited. And then Bitcoin starts to drop. And this is where people like 2018 version of Corinne step away and think that it's a scam and they don't want to have anything to do with it. And then eventually it bottoms out. And then Sometimes there's already sentiment that people know, oh, there's something called the Bitcoin halving. It's going to create a supply shock. So let's start buying. Bitcoin halving happens. And then what happens? Explosive blow off top. And then that happens all over again. Bitcoin comes down. People are not as excited. They panic sell. Oh my gosh, I got into scams. I messed up. I hate this thing. And then it comes down again. There will be times as well that, oh, Bitcoin halving. Here we had a little bit of a push to the upside. Some demand happened, but apathy didn't really go anywhere, came back down, chilled, COVID panic crash, and then people knowing Bitcoin halving is happening all over again. And it happens. Supply shock pushes to the upside. You see the rinse and repeat happened again. And again, the last time that we had the Bitcoin halving was in April of 2024. And that's where we saw Bitcoin blow off to the top, where we saw top of Bitcoin price around October 2025. And price had started coming down ever since. Once again, please excuse all my drawings, all the blah, blah, blah. Okay. Free education here for everybody. So we had this blow off top and didn't feel like a blow off top. We'll talk about that in other videos and why that happened this time around. But the cycle still remains. And now price has been coming down ever since. Okay. So when we look at this, you see that there's lots of numbers and lots of different things. And I want to explain to you that the Bitcoin cycle is the same and has been and continues to. And again, I believe will continue to repeat until proven otherwise, until something changes. But the same thing with Bitcoin, not with all the other cryptos, but with Bitcoin, happens over and over and over again. And you know what the crazy thing is? Is that there is always going to be narratives. There is always going to be some news. There's always going to be something that tells you this is why Bitcoin dropped. But when you learn to remove the news and just look at the cycles, look at the charts, you will literally see that we can make up any news. Any news will be the excuse as to why that happened. But the reality is that the cycles occur over and over again, no matter what the news is, no matter what war, no matter what pandemic, no matter what crisis, no matter which bank institution did what, which government, blah, blah, blah. That is all the excuse. That is all the excuse. The cycles repeat themselves over and over again until proven otherwise. So why I've told you. So now I want to show you something which is incredible. And it's still happening today, since 2008, 2009, when Bitcoin was launched. You would have seen by now that I have red boxes and then green boxes. And I just want you to focus in on these ones. So let's go back to when Corinne quit. When Corinne quit, she didn't know that this was just the start of the bear market. The bear market lasts typically around 365 days. Yes, my friends, that is right. About a year. Give or take a couple of days. It happens every time. And then, after the end of the year, so here we are, 1 year later, we went from December 2017 down to the end, December 2018. We finally got to the bottom. And then what did Bitcoin do? It bottomed out. And then it started to go up. We did have a black swan event here with the pandemic, but Bitcoin didn't care. Plenty of buyers just scooped it up. They were like, Bitcoin halving's coming. And then price went up. And you know how long Bitcoin goes up for typically? About 1,064 days. So Bitcoin reached the top. And it started again. Bear market. 363 days. I might have gotten that off a couple of days, so maybe that's like 364. Here, let's be perfectionists. Even though this is on a, we'll even go to the day. Because I want to know, right? Yes, go to the tippity top. All right, we have 369 days there, okay? Approximately, to when it got to the end. 365, 369, pretty much the same, right? And then it reaches the bottom, and then what happens? 164 days, and there we go, all the way to the top. Here we had it at approximately 11th of October, 2025. When did we reach the top? 6th of October. Again, give or take a couple of days. Let me go and move that. Move this one to the 6th of October, 1,058 days. Again, give or take. So now, here we start. What do we want now? 365 days, give or take. So in October of 2026 is most likely when we will see the bottoming out of Bitcoin and therefore crypto. And then we may start our next 1,064 days. Now, see how when we already start to understand this, it's like, wow, I already somewhat have a plan. Again, it's not guaranteed, but it's been working and been working since the very start. Over and over and over again. Pretty wild, right? So if we look at it right now, we are in this window of opportunity where if we go back, oopsies, if we go back to the past years, we can see that this is our time for opportunity. This is our time to study. This is our time to learn. This is our time to lock in and to get a plan. This is also our time to figure out ways to create more cash flow so that we can take advantage of these opportunities. And one of the greatest opportunities that I believe that there is out there to create cash flow is trading. With trading, you can profit whether price is going up or coming down. I repeat, that's going to be in another video coming soon for anybody that's brand new to trading and doesn't know trading. But this is our time to lock in, get learning, understanding this space. Maybe even look at your finances, see what kind of budget you can create so that you can start putting to the side and preparing for when these incredible opportunities are going to come. Bitcoin right now is already discounted at 43%. You're getting Bitcoin at a 43% discount. I don't know about you, but I like that discount, and I don't think this is a bad place to be getting some. And of course, with the proper risk management, proper risk allocation, and according to your risk tolerance. And if you don't know that, we'll tackle that together in some upcoming videos as well. Now, one more thing I want to say about cycles is that Bitcoin is just one of them. I love looking at cycles and understanding cycles because the thing is that money is always flowing. It's not just flowing in and out of Bitcoin. It's actually constantly flowing between lots of different assets. So I want to read to you something that I posted inside of my Instagram channel, which is open to everybody, so anybody can join. It's free, where it explains about the market cycles of lots of different assets. One of them, for example, is real estate. So real estate works in approximately 18.6-year cycles. So the US real estate last crash was in 2008. I'm no math genius, but if I go 2008 plus 18.6, so 2026.6. I don't know exactly what month the real estate crash was in 2008. I'm not in that world. But according to math, between 2026 and 2027, we're probably going to see another big real estate crash. And we're already starting to see prices come down. Again, what's the excuse? The wars and this and that. It's just cycles. Despite the news, this was going to happen regardless of what's going on. Gold. Gold in 2025, 2026 has been rallying. And yes, Peter Schiff, whatever. If you zoom out anyway, Bitcoin has been a better investment than gold. So, anyways, so gold actually has 10 to 12-year cycles. The last bottom of gold was in 2015. So, plus 10, that's between 2025 2027, we're going to see a gold bull market. Bitcoin, we've spoken about our 4-year cycles. We're just in a bear market right now. Last one was in 2022. Now it's 2026. Let's take advantage of this opportunity and prepare ourselves. Yes. Am I crazy restarting my YouTube channel during a bear market? Maybe. I actually think that this is the best time, literally from my heart, to be getting into this space and understanding it properly because of my story and what I've told you. And then even business cycles. Businesses literally have cycles like the macro business space. When was the last business crash? 2020. What was the excuse? COVID, right? Am I allowed to say that word, YouTube? Should I say pandemic instead? Whatever. So business cycles are between 6 to 10 years. Last crash, 2020. So between 2026, 2030, we are going to see the next business crash. What's the narrative going to be? Probably AI. It could be something else. Don't know. All we need to know and study are the cycles that happen over and over again, no matter what is happening externally. And speaking of news, get ready because this year it's going to sound really bad for crypto and it's already started. It's all about Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy crashing again. I've heard this so many times. Bitcoin being banned in China again. What's it going to be now? Private credit, inflation, wars, oil. There's always going to be something to tell you that crypto is dead, that Bitcoin is dead. But just remember the cycles. Again, it's not 100% guaranteed, but until proven otherwise, we've seen the data, we've seen the facts. This is how it works. And I'm just excited for the incredible opportunities that we have here together for the following years to come while we are going through what I believe is the greatest wealth transfer that we're ever going to see in our lifetime. And that we even have this information at our fingertips is just incredible. So, on that note, like, subscribe, leave me a comment, let me know what do you want to learn? What do you want to know more about in this space? This channel really is to make Bitcoin and crypto simple. It should be accessible to everybody. You don't need to be a genius to make this space work for you. You just need the simple information, all the complex, blah, 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 big words that we can just say in simple words because this is our future and everybody has the right to be learning and understanding the space. So peace and love. Jesus is king, and I will see you on the next video.